Michelangelo is probably the turtle that showcases the difference between Mirage's adaptation and basically Fred Wolf Forward more than any other turtle, or really any other character. In Mirage, Michelangelo is not defined by comedy, at least not in the way that Fred Wolf in Forward showcases. He makes jokes, but humor is not his function in the narrative. Mirage treats Michelangelo as the least foregrounded of the four turtles. He rarely drives the plot. He rarely dominates a conflict. And he doesn't lead, and he doesn't rebel or philosophize at length. Instead, Michelangelo is consistently present. He trains, he fights, he survives. This matters because Mirage is a story about endurance more than it is about heroics. And of the four turtles, I think Michelangelo showcases the reality of Mirage more than any of the others. In his micro series in 1985, Mikey has a very low stakes, very street level Christmas story. Mikey is out alone during the holiday season. He encounters criminals stealing a truck full of toys. The toys are intended for children. Mikey intervenes and stops the theft. The story ends quietly, and the toys reach their destination. There isn't an epic duel, and there's no real big moral speech. There's a need, and Mikey intervenes. The significance of the issue isn't what happened, but actually how small it is. Mirage deliberately gives Mikey a story about protecting ordinary people, not proving himself. He isn't tested, and he isn't pushed to extremes. He just simply acts. This aligns with how Mirage uses Mikey overall, as a stabilizing presence rather than a dramatic engine. Across Mirage Volume 1, Mikey is consistently reliable in combat, but rarely singled out. He participates fully in fights against the foot. He does not break formation the way that Raph does. He does not shoulder leadership responsibility like Leo does. He does not retreat into obsession like Donnie does. Mikey is rarely the emotional center of a scene. It's not that they're trying to neglect his character, they're positioning him for something different. That's why he stands out the way that he does, and why it's so easy for him to just become the light-hearted character. And that's why I think out of the animated adaptations, why I love O3's version of Mikey as much as I do. Mirage here treats Mikey as the turtle that absorbs trauma without narrating it. During the Northampton exile from TMNT issues 11 to 18, the Turtles are removed from New York after the Foot's retaliation for killing Shredder. This arc highlights differences between the brothers in a major way. Leo isolates himself under the weight of leadership. Raph becomes restless and increasingly aggressive as time goes on. Donnie turns inward. Mikey adapts. On the page, he engages in rural life. He interacts more comfortably with nonviolent environments, and he doesn't spiral emotionally. Mirage does not spell any of this out in dialogue. It shows it through an absence of crisis. Mikey is the least destabilized by the exile from the life that they knew. In internal family conflict, Mikey is usually peripheral. He doesn't escalate arguments and he doesn't mediate them either. When Leo and Raph clash, Mikey is often present but silent in the background, or he exits scenes entirely. This reinforces an important Mirage trait. Mikey does not define himself through control or opposition. He exists alongside conflict without feeding into it. During City at War, TMNT issues 50 through 62, Mikey functions primarily as a soldier. He fights Foot elite forces. He takes part in coordinated operations. He does not question leadership decisions on the page. Mirage does not give him major monologues here. He is not the conscience of the team or the comic relief. He is somebody who just keeps going. Mirage Volume 4 shifts the tone of the entire series. The Turtles are older, and the world has changed. Their war has not ended. Michelangelo's most significant Mirage development occurs here, not through action, but through absence and aftermath. See, in Volume 4, Michelangelo is captured by alien forces after being kind of a welcome guide once the world finds out about extraterrestrial life, and he's removed from Earth. This is an extended absence, not a brief plot point. This is pretty much where Mikey is. On the page, this period is characterized by forced combat, loss of agency, and prolonged isolation. Mirage isn't trying to romanticize any of this. After he returns, Michelangelo is quieter. He's less engaged with ongoing conflict and less invested in the ninja life. This is shown through behavior, not big speeches. He doesn't argue and he doesn't announce a philosophy. He simply just disengages, and eventually Michelangelo leaves. The departure isn't framed as rebellion or betrayal, it's quiet and unresolved, and Splinter doesn't stop him. Splinter's reaction to Michelangelo's departure is important here because he doesn't command him to stay and he doesn't shame him for wanting to leave. He doesn't frame the choice as failure. This distinguishes Mikey from Raph and Leo, whose struggles Splinter actively intervenes in. Mirage presents Michelangelo's exit as a legitimate choice on his part. In Mirage, Michelangelo represents the cost of survival without purpose. He fulfills his duties longer than anyone expects. He does not collapse under violence, and he doesn't seek meaning in endless war. When the cost becomes too high, he's out. Mirage doesn't tell us whether or not this is right or wrong. It just simply happens. Mirage asks whether endurance alone is enough, and Mikey's answer is to step away rather than let violence define his entire life. Later adaptations turned Mikey into levity. Mirage made him into quiet persistence. He is the turtle who stays the longest without demanding meaning, and the one who eventually recognizes when staying no longer serves him. It's not comedy, it's realism. Mikey in the Mirage comics is not the loudest voice or the strongest arm. He is the turtle who reminds us that surviving trauma does not obligate someone to live inside of it forever. Sometimes the most honest response to endless war is knowing when to leave it behind. Now, we do need to talk about the fact that part of Mikey's story does involve The Last Ronin. Now, they have come out to say that The Last Ronin is a separate continuity from the Mirage universe. However, The Last Ronin was written way back in the day and then adapted, like taken and shaped more to fit a current setting. And it was written in a way to almost be like the Dark Knight for the Mirage universe. And so Mikey being the enduring presence that Last Ronin makes all of the sense in the world because he understands how to adapt. He understands how to survive more than any of the other turtles do. So it makes all of the sense in the world that he is the Last Ronin. So I guess in my mind, and especially with turtles being such an open mythology, there are so many different choose your own adventure style points in the continuity that to me, that's how Mikey's story ends, is through the events of the Last Ronin, and that's kind of the capstone for the character. But all right, but that's it. That's all. That's a wrap. We'll be back next time with more. But until next time, Cowabunga Shellheads.